Hi Capricorn, welcome. This is your November 2024 horoscope. And I know you're probably looking forward to 2025, but we're not there just yet. So let's talk about November first. We start the month with a new moon in Scorpio. And this will be happening on November 1st. This new moon is happening in the 11th house for you, Capricorn. This is the house of long-term plans, your house of friendships and community. And whenever we see a new moon, we see a promise of inspiration, a promise of a new start, a new beginning. But there's one caveat with this new moon. In order for you to do that, in order for you to start feeling inspired about the future, in order for you to start feeling inspired or get a sense of a new a type of future that you could have, a new vision for the future, you need to first address any fears you might have around the future, any hard feelings, any difficult feelings that are coming up around what is waiting for you in the future. And honestly, I could spend a bit more time talking about this new moon, but just for the sake of this video and the length, I will direct you instead to a dedicated new moon in Scorpio horoscope. We go through all of the zodiac signs. We talk way more in depth about what you can expect. 2 days later, on November 3rd, we have a bit more of a challenging day. This is because we have 4 planets that are opposing each other in the sky. First, we have Mars and Pluto opposing each other, and we also have Jupiter and Venus opposing each other. For you, Capricorn, these 4 planets are highlighting your 12th and 1st and 6th and 7th houses. What this could mean for you, Capricorn, is there is this tension. There is this tension between you wanting to control your day-to-day life, wanting to control your routine, wanting to be able to really, if we could say, nitpick all of the details. And then this other side of you that also feels this tension and just says, let's do the opposite. Let's just let go of control. You know, whether you're spiritual or religious or whatever, this sense of just let go and trust that things will turn out, stop trying to control everything, and relinquish a bit of sense of control. And at the same time, you also have this tension, because remember, we have 4 planets that are opposing each other. At the same time, you also have this tension between you know so clearly who you are. This has become really clear. Who are you as an individual in the last 20 years with Pluto in your sign? And you feel like you're finally getting this super clear vision of you. And then there's this tension at the same time of, well, maybe I just need to compromise in order to be able to relate to my partner. Maybe I just need to meet them halfway. Maybe I just need to let go a little bit of who I am or what I believe in or how I represent myself so that I can exist in this relationship, so that I can maintain a balance in this relationship. So honestly, a very interesting couple of tensions that you might be feeling, and this could also make it a bit of a tense start to the month of November. And in case you needed more, don't worry, we get more the day after on November 4th. On November 4th, we have Mars entering the sign of Leo, and we also have Saturn trine the Sun. For you, Capricorn, Mars is entering your 8th house of vulnerability. So you might find yourself feeling more excited, more likely to start opening up and being vulnerable with your partner, to really share with them the fears that you might be facing, to share with them maybe even some of the dark thoughts, again, fears that you might have that maybe you haven't revealed before. And because at the same time we have this trine between the Sun and Saturn in your 11th and 3rd house, you might also be finding that you're reaping some sort of nice benefits because of your communication. You might have been working really hard on figuring out how is it that you communicate, what makes sense, what doesn't. Can you communicate in a more effective, mature way? And you see somehow on this day it's positively reflecting with your long-term plans. It's positively reflecting with your friendships, sorry, I should say. So for example, one manifestation of this could be that you're able to relate to one of your friends in a very clear and meaningful way, something that you haven't been able to speak about before. We have a couple of days of rest from all of this astrology. And then finally, on November 11th, we have the next transit, the next planetary movement that we should talk about, which is Venus entering Capricorn. This means Venus will be entering your 1st house. So actually, one positive, Capricorn, you might feel like when you glance at yourself in the mirror from this day on, that you're like, damn, I look good. And honestly, we all love it when that happens. So Venus in your 1st house might really manifest like that you literally just feel more beautiful. Maybe you really love all of the outfits you're picking and how they sit on you. Honestly, this is a good time to get like any haircuts or things like that as well. But on a less sort of materialistic manner or a less tangible manner, you might also just feel that you exude a lot more of this warmth. You carry these sort of feelings of harmony. You might be a lot more focused on just keeping the peace, focusing on how are others feeling, and that you bring a peaceful energy across when you are around others. A couple of days later, on November 15th, we have a full moon in the sign of Taurus. This is a jam-packed full moon. The moon is conjunct Uranus. Venus is squaring the north and the south node. And we have Saturn about to go direct. For you, Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your 5th house. Whenever we see a full moon, we see manifestations of previous actions. We see results of our hard work. Or if we didn't work so hard, we see consequences of that. Because this is happening in your 5th house, Capricorn, it might especially be that you're seeing some consequences when it comes to your expression, when it comes to your creativity. If you have been working hard to express yourself authentically, you might start to see something come through. If you have been putting in the work to cultivate your creativity, you might also see some positive results as well. And if none of those things apply, it could also be if you have really been trying to live in the present moment, trying to just enjoy the day-to-day pleasures, you might also see some sort of positive reinforcement come out of that as well. Keep in mind that the moon is conjunct Uranus. So this manifestation, this result, this consequence might come unexpectedly, and it might take you by surprise. But all of that being said, the North Node and the South Node are involved in this full moon. So whatever happens around this full moon, it will be for the evolution of your soul, because that is what the North and the South Node represent. If you're curious to learn more about this full moon, make sure you subscribe, because in a couple of weeks, I will post a dedicated horoscope for that full moon. We'll go through all 12 zodiac signs and really take our time diving into what you can expect. A couple of days later, on November 19th, we have Pluto entering Aquarius. I think you, Capricorn, will be quite happy about that, because Pluto will finally leave your 1st house. It's been there for 20 years. And I think it's going to feel much lighter with it leaving your 1st house. That doesn't mean the work is done yet. It just shifts the area of attention. So with Pluto now entering your second house, you might be facing fears or difficult feelings you might have around your own self-love, your own self-esteem, the way you respect yourself, the way you take care of yourself. You could be facing fears or difficult emotions that you might have around finances. We could talk about this all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to direct you to this live that I did a while back. It's 1.5 hours long. We go into so much detail talking about Pluto in Aquarius for each of the zodiac signs. So if you're curious about what the next 20 years has in store, then take a look at that video. 2 days later, on November 21st, we also have the Sun entering a new sign, which is the sign of Sagittarius. And as it does that, it sextiles Pluto. The Sun is entering your 12th house. It will be sextiling Pluto in your second house. So this is a good time to start diving into your spiritual practices. This is a good time to explore what spirituality means to you. And in general, maybe just to take time to remove yourself from others and to spend time alone. Alone with your thoughts, alone with your dreams. Maybe even keeping a dream journal could be interesting because your dreams might be quite vivid during this time. And honestly, whatever these spiritual practices are bringing up is actually a really good start for that Pluto in Aquarius transit. It's like the little sparks of fire that are going to burn, that you're going to work through and explore for the next 20 years. Finally, we wrap up the month with a grand trine in the fire signs. This is a grand trine between Mars, the North Node, and the Sun. And I gotta be honest, it's not an exact grand trine, which means it doesn't happen on one specific day. It's actually something that stretches over a 5-day period. First, I think we have Mars in the North Node trine, then sort of the Sun comes in, and then finally we have that final trine between Mars and the Sun. But in general, they're so close to each other that I do sort of see it as a grand trine. It just is an energy that spreads throughout 5 days. For you, Capricorn, this grand trine takes place in your more internal spiritual houses. So again, we see this theme come up of you needing to take some time alone, you needing to take some time to look within, work through what is happening. Maybe therapy is an option for you, any other practices, any other support that you might need. We talked about keeping a dream journal. We talked about listening to your intuition. And you might in general find that if there is any sort of coincidence that happen around this time, be very skeptical if they're really coincidences. You might find around this time that you're more in touch with sort of the unseen parts of life as well, which can be really beautiful, and I do hope you take full advantage of them. So overall, Capricorn, that is what you can expect in the month of November. I hope you're excited for it. And if I could give one word of advice, is take some alone time. Find some spiritual practices, some practices you can do on your own, practices that get you in touch with what's going on inside. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy the month ahead. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch the upcoming full moon horoscope for November 15th. Thanks again, and I hope to see you again soon.